bam, straight into movie.
Let's go bam straight into movie.
Cool.
And then here don't breathe into the mic too much.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Kind of woofed. Yeah.
That makes for good podcasting, right?
Yep. All right. So you do the intro.
Okay.
Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome.
I was working up to it. Welcome to Monsters Conquer the World. Oh yeah, my bad.
Okay.
I'll run it back.
Keep going. No. Yeah, you're good.
Welcome to Monsters Conquer the World. I'm Matt Ferret.
And I'm Ralph.
And we just saw Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
And we have some thoughts.
We do have 1 to 2 thoughts. This will be an extremely short episode, right?
Yeah. Godzilla was in it.
And that's all you need to know.
Why would you need
over.
to know anything else?
We did it.
Okay, bye.
Be sure to subscribe to our Patreon.
Intro complete.
And scene.
Yes. So I just, right off the top, before we even start with the movie, I just wanted to say in the last episode, I mentioned Hercules in New York being dubbed. And I went searching for these, and I had a really hard time finding the dubbed version.
Oh.
So
it's Arnold's voice now.
They recorded Arnold's voice in the first place, and then I guess recently they just left it. Like they took out the dub. Yeah. So,
that's cheating.
Well, yeah, but it is like a different accent that he used to use.
Oh, sure, way back.
Yeah, like you can tell they like modified to make it like slightly more American, but just enough that it's still like, okay, well this dude's not from here, you know?
Right.
He's an Austrian dude still, but it's not as weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to say, if you start looking for this and you just find like versions with Arnold's voice, I'm not crazy. Like, you just have to look harder. Like, it's still there.
You just wanted to establish that you haven't lost your mind.
Yeah.
This is a Mandela effect, a Berenstain Bears situation.
No,
Ralph, you're from a parallel universe.
Start.
You remember a different version of the film.
Not until we do our conspiracy podcast, and I'm positive I'm going to bring up Hercules in New York when we do that.
A sneak preview.
Yeah.
And a huge thank you to our very first Patreon, or are they just patrons?
They're patrons on Patreon.
On Patreon. Yeah. Okay. That's the best way to say it. Huge thank you to our patrons, Riccio and Shelly.
Yeah. Shelly, I don't know who you are. I guess you follow the blog or something, but
I think Shelly has popped into the Discord a little bit.
I know Riccio.
Ricchio's old. Yeah, man. He's been around since the very beginning. Yeah.
No, yeah. Well, we love you guys. Thank you so much.
It's incredibly amazing. I cannot overstate how much that means to us.
Yes. So you want to get into the episode?
Let's.
Okay. I'm going to let you just like go off on like what you thought, because you've seen it twice.
I have seen it twice, and I like to think that now that it's been a couple days since that initial viewing, kind of the new Godzilla smell has worn off. The stars aren't quite in my eyes as much anymore. I can give a really honest and level-headed opinion on this movie, and that is that it's a dream come true, and we can stop making movies now because they made the best one.
Right.
That's my very reasoned and thoughtful response to the film. It's flawless, and I'm going to watch it every day until I die.
This is your Detective Pikachu.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Okay. Humorous exaggeration aside, the movie does have 1 or 2 problems. unlike Detective Pikachu, which is known to be an airtight film in the same vein as like Tremors, where it's not the biggest, best movie in the world. It's just, that script is airtight. There are no holes in it. Every scene serves a purpose and moves the story forward. Godzilla King of the Monsters does have an issue or two.
I'll be going off. I do love this movie. I think it was really cool, but I'm gonna go off on like a couple things. It's gonna set off my things that Okay, sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say my knee jerk reaction, because the buzz is that Rotten Tomatoes came out and I think it's sitting at like a 40 or 50%, and so like
their critique was what, too many monsters,
and that the human story was weak.
Oh,
which
okay. Well,
having seen the film, that's maybe not completely unfair. I think it does kind of miss the point of the movie, which we were discussing it before we started recording a little bit, and Independence Day comes up a lot. And I think that is a pretty good yardstick to set your expectations by. So if you're in the mood for something like Independence Day, you are going to settle into this movie and do just fine.
Yeah, it's got that vibe, and it's
in good ways and less good ways.
Right. I mean, Independence Day was a better movie, I'm gonna say, but
I want to say, oh, agree to disagree. Ha ha ha. This is a Godzilla film we're talking about.
Yeah.
But we've been talking about it, and I can forgive a lot and meet a movie halfway a lot, but there are a couple things where I'm like, oh yeah, that they kind of beefed, X or Y.
Right.
But it doesn't change the fact that this movie does so right by the monsters, and I've been hangry for that for so long that I sit there watching the movie, and I do forgive those kind of goofs and beefs with the human story, because I'm just like, Mothra's here, and they just fucking did it. She's here, and she's perfect, and she's beautiful. And when she's on screen, my face hurts from smiling because I'm glad she's there.
Yeah, Mothra's always great to see, and Godzilla, like, I'll just tell you this very personal thing that happens to me when I watch movies. If there is a big hero who like falls, like it happens all the time. They just like, they can't get up for a while, and they need help from other people or whatever, and they're out of the game for a long time, and then they make a big, like, dramatic reappearance. Like, I always tear up a little bit.
It's an extremely powerful trope,
and it's not like I'm sitting here like sad or even like all that elated, but there's just something about the like relief that I feel when like for like 1 second you don't have to worry about anything. You're like, okay, he's here. I know it's okay.
He's back.
Like, yeah, he's gonna fuck this Ghidra up. I don't know. That was something like I really liked about this movie, is there's like 3 of those.
Yeah. Yep. You get that a lot. It does so right by the monsters. It delivers such a good story for the monsters, and it's just like I can overlook you know what? There are little issues with the human story. It's not like the greatest story ever told, but I never sat there and was like, I don't like this. The end result I'm still really happy with, and I'll say this, the reception has colored my expectations for the movie.
Oh. And
maybe that's why I'm so forgiving of the human story, because I went in, you're hearing all this stuff about, like, oh, the humans were bad. A lot of times they'll say the acting was bad. And I don't know that the acting was bad. I think it was more that what they had to work with was, goofy monster movie dialogue.
Yeah, well, there's that, and I think it's a combination. Like when I was younger, I used to get really mad at people in these big green screen movies for acting terribly, and then you start, seeing more behind the scenes footage of like just what it's like to act to nothing. Like you can't see the monster, and you can't see anything. It's like I kind of feel for them more, because if you're even one iota less than one of the best actors in the world, like you're not going to be able to really deliver. Like I always think of Star Wars, like the pure CGI prequels, where it's like Ewan McGregor did phenomenal.
Yeah,
no one else did.
No,
like, but Ewan McGregor is like gonna be a legend. Like when he dies or whatever, like we're gonna be like, oh, Ewan McGregor was so great. He was in Trainspotting, and we're not gonna do that for Hayden Christensen.
No.
Or Natalie Portman
turned it around.
Will be, yeah.
She's a good actor.
Yeah, she is good, and she also has moments where I like roll my eyes at her, where like that that was terrible. A couple times in like V for Vendetta or whatever.
Right. Oh boy, it's been a minute since I've seen that one.
Yeah.
So are you landing in the acting is bad camp for this?
Actually, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just explaining my thoughts on like green screen and how difficult it is.
Did you see during the filming of the Hobbit movies, Sir Ian McKellen like broke down crying one day on set because he's just in a fucking green box all day, and he's like, I'm an actor. I'm supposed to have, co-stars. What is this? And it's heartbreaking to see, because it's Gandalf. It's Sir Ian McKellen. He's one of the greatest living actors, right. and he's all these iconic characters, and he just the green screen stuff was crushing after a while.
And he still killed it in those movies, but it's because he's one of the best of all time.
He's a pro, yeah.
Yeah.
He's just killing it.
Yeah. I know people like complained about Elijah Wood and stuff too, but it's like,
oh really?
I seem to remember people. Yeah, I seem to remember people complaining because he was always just like this wide-eyed character, just like gawking at everything around him. But it's like it's one of those complaints where it's like that's what he's supposed to do.
Right. He has a type. He plays a type.
Yeah, but to bring it back around to Godzilla, I don't fall into the camp where the acting was bad.
Cool.
I think it's just fine.
Yeah,
and
considering what it is, and
11 was really good.
She isn't she wonderful?
Yeah,
that whole cast of kids from Stranger Things are dynamite. I love seeing them pop up and stuff. One of them was in It. Yeah, he was great.
The no teeth kid.
Yeah, I was like, I remember that a Stranger Things kid was in there, but I couldn't remember which one. I kind of had my lines crossed. The no teeth kid. Names.
11 and the no teeth kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got it in one. Yeah.
What did you think of the acting though?
I think they sold it. I liked the human story, as like kind of wonky as it sometimes was. I was actually just before we started, I was just looking at a review that specifically called out, we're fully in spoiler territory, right?
Are we?
We're up in them spoiler guts.
Now? Did I spoil something and not
No.
know?
I guess I'm just excited to talk about a spoiler.
Well, save it for a couple more minutes, and
we'll table
there's
that.
got to be something else we can talk about.
There sure is. Oh, well, I was just getting what I was going to get to a specific example of the other performances that I thought were pretty solid, but that specific example I was thinking of would take us into spoiler country. So
maybe we should just spoil this whole thing.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Do you want
to we could just tear the lid off this thing and go bananas. Okay.
So we'll do a warning.
Let's do a big old spoiler warning.
Right. So we'll give you 10 seconds.
Yeah. Just get out of here. You gotta go. You gotta go see this movie.
Yeah. Pause it. Stop it. Don't listen to it at all. Like most people in the world. Come back when...
Watch this thing.
You watch.
Go see for yourself. If you're listening to this, you will enjoy your time at the theater.
Yes. It'll be fun.
You will have a good time.
And we filled enough space that people should be gone now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you haven't turned it off yet, this is your own fault, not ours.
Finish your thought.
Okay. So vis-a-vis the acting, I thought Vera Farmiga did a great job. I was looking at a review that was like, her character made no sense. Like, why? What? She's evil all of a sudden and like wants to kill the world. And it's like, everybody just got done being so hyped about Thanos, who his whole thing was, I'm going to kill the whole universe. And we're like, wow, what a deep and interesting character. How compelling.
I'm not gonna I didn't watch all the Avengers movies, as you know, but like, I'm not gonna go off on them. I just if you liked the Avengers and you hate Godzilla movies, then I don't know. I can't even talk to you.
Your tastes are very confusing to me.
Okay, but anyway, go ahead.
But I really thought she did a great job as, I don't know, her performance was just super solid. Her interactions with her husband, Mark Russell, who was played by Kyle Chandler, who I think was in Friday Night Lights. I think that's kind of his big sort of claim to fame. But her interactions with him were great. Seeing her react to how her plan was crumbling around her and dealing with Tywin Lannister, whose real name escapes me, but he's a great add to the cast. The British eco-terrorist.
I think of him as the villain in Last Action Hero.
Yes.
And
that is also true.
And the Golden Child.
I've never seen The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy, right?
The Golden Child.
I know I need to.
Positive that it has not aged well. But just see it.
Yeah.
It's a piece of Eddie Murphy history.
Ephemera.
And we're running out of comedians that we can
oh boy, they drop like flies, don't they?
Ooh.
Some of that stuff ages like milk. The other performance I wanted to give tip of the hat to is Ken Watanabe playing Dr. Serizawa. He just has this, it doesn't fucking matter what he's saying. He just has this natural gravitas. Like when he's in a room, it's like, oh shit, things are very serious now. Like his presence instantly draws me in, and I was sad to see him exit the franchise.
As we spoke about in the theater immediately after, because it pissed me off so much, I hated that he's the one who does the big, I'm going to sacrifice myself for the greater good. And not because it's out of his character. I think it's perfectly within his character to offer himself up in that way, because that's what a good person would do. But I hated the main character so much and thought he was just the flattest, and I just kept saying to myself, why are you here? You were a wildlife photographer. I know that you helped build a machine, but you walk into this position where you're just calling the shots. Where what is their name? The company. What is the company?
Oh, Monarch.
Monarch. Yeah, he just walks into Monarch and he's not only commanding the people at Monarch, but he's commanding the fucking U.S. Army. And he's like, hey, we need to do this and that. We need to put a nuke here. And
right.
No one's like, hey, dude, are you qualified for anything? If you applied at Target tomorrow, would they hire you? Or would they, what can you do besides take pictures? We don't have any proof of anything.
They did a not great job of establishing why he would be there.
Right. You sort of explain that.
Well, there's one line of dialogue where they establish, you touched on it. They established that he helped build the Orca, and I don't know if there were lines of dialogue about this. I inferred that he and Emma worked for Monarch prior to 2014.
Okay.
I thought, but
I've
watched it twice. It was, if there is even a line at all, it was clearly to blink or you miss it. Because it just seems like dude bro just shows up and starts, I'm going to tell Serizawa what to do. I'm going to tell the Navy what to do. And it just...
I
And it goes to show how swept up I was in the monster fantasy that on my first viewing, that thought never fucking crossed my mind. I'm like, he's here. Okay, he's got good ideas. I like that. Let's keep moving because I want to see Rodan.
And I think that I only really started thinking about that because I hated him so much that I started really analyzing why is this guy here at all?
Doing that
and I'm
deep
just
dive.
Within myself, just trying to eliminate any reason for him to be here. But legitimately, when Ken Watanabe sacrifices himself, I thought it just would be better from a story standpoint if the main character.
It would have been a cool. It would have wrapped up his arc perfectly. He would be 100% be making peace with the thing that ruined his life because they established early on that in the 2014 movie his son was killed essentially by Godzilla, and that would have paid off. Serizawa has this wonderful speech about healing our wounds and moving on, and it would have just tied all that up in a perfect bow. And when we do watch 2014, watch for the character choice that is bad, and if you just flipped it, it would be a better movie because there's one of those in 2014 also. God
damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was just really glaring to me because it's I killed my son and I forgive it in a way, please save humanity, and I'm going to sacrifice myself to make sure that humanity. But it's just no. And then the mom could have had her redemption arc and pretty much tied up everything that he was involved in for the rest of the movie. He wasn't useful for the rest of the movie.
Right.
And it's not one of those things where they get back together or something like that. He's just there the rest of the movie. So it's get rid of him and let Ken Watanabe keep his notes because he knows everything that's in his notes. You don't just hand your notes to a person next to you and go, hey, here's the sum of my knowledge. Please absorb it in the 20 minutes that we have left to live on this earth.
It's not like handing off your PlayStation 2 memory card to a friend so you can be here, I beat that level for you.
Yeah, just plug it in.
You're good.
No, it's a journal.
Yeah.
You have to read it. But yeah, okay. But it's just not.
I will say the flip side. Well, your reaction to Kyle Chandler is the same reaction I had to the main dude in Pacific Rim, which is a fucking wonderful robot monster slap 'em up movie. It's tons of fun. Every other character is exquisite. You got Idris Elba in there, and he's just crushing it. Yeah. But the main guy is such a wet fart, and I don't even know why. Sorry, Charlie Hunnam, if there are any Sons of Anarchy fans out there. I'm not trying to put y'all's on blast.
Some Charlie defenders out there.
I don't know if it's that his accent isn't sticking, because I think he's an Aussie doing an American accent.
Oh, okay.
Or at the beginning of the movie, it's just they killed the wrong guy off. His brother, because his brother is in the intro scene, his brother is extremely interesting and charismatic, and it's whoopsie. Mm-hmm. Back that up, hit the
I really
undo
need
button.
To see that movie because you're just talking about it. I'm yeah, okay.
We should definitely watch Pacific Rim.
We should do an episode on Pacific Rim.
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
No joke.
I don't actually now that we have the issue out of the way, I don't have any more issues with the movie, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean that's the we talked a little bit about Madison. That's Millie Bobby Brown, Eleven's character, Madison. Madison does present some weird narrative issues because this movie is a balls to the wall monster action thriller spectacular where a lot of people get killed, and that that comes with the territory. It makes the movie exciting and scary. Yeah, you see, Ghidra just fucking roasts some guys. They disintegrate. It's nuts.
And you don't care about them at all, but you really care about this Madison character,
right?
And I do,
sure, she's a very good actor, and they built up that relationship well. But it is jarring to see an entire squadron of fighter jets get wiped out of the sky, but then they go, okay, stop everything. We need to save one person.
Right. And just like a whole town, a whole Mexican city just be wiped out.
Sorry, dogs.
Yeah, just like, well, all right. But we got to save this girl, though.
There is one girl.
We're going to go out of our way to save her. But that, I sort of wrote that off as like, well, this is what movies do.
It hits, another way that it reminds me of Independence Day is that it hits these very obvious, like, this is a movie style tropes.
Right.
Things that only happen in movies happen in this movie. Like, towards the end when Kyle Chandler and Vera Farmiga and O'Shea Jackson are in the Hummer and they're having a screaming match. You lost her. Why, rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
And, O'Shea says, if I had parents like you, I'd run away from home too.
Uh-huh.
Mom stops the Humvee. What did you say?
Stops it.
Slams, like, fighter jets are flying out of the sky.
Other things going
Ghidra
on.
is exploding things all around them. She slams on the brakes, demands that O'Shea repeat his funny one-liner so she can hear home again. And then the parents look at each other and go, that home, that's where she is. We gotta go.
Home. We just know. But also, someone says to you, if I had parents like you two, what did he say?
I'd run away from home.
I'd run away
Implying
from
that's
home.
what Madison did.
So if you heard that, if you're like, you two are so terrible that I understand why your child ran away, you'd be like, fuck, that hurts. You wouldn't be like, home.
Actually, I was positing the opposite.
I kind of heard what you said, but I fixated on the one word. Like, right. I'm not actually going to understand what you said to me.
Right. And I guess what I'm saying is that in that situation where I'm frantically trying to find my daughter and I hear a guy say home and I go, oh shit, that's where she is. I'm not going to stop the vehicle, yell at him for a while, talk to my husband about it, and then go, I'm just going to start driving home.
I actually think my critique is less good now because yours is certainly better because it is
Thank you.
I mean, of course I thought like, why are they stopping the vehicle? But like,
right.
They might just fixate on like the word home because they're not hearing anything that he's actually saying. Like, how could they process it in that situation?
They're driving through an exploding hellscape.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back on that one.
It's weird because most of the time when I'm watching a movie, I get caught up in the story and I don't sit there and dissect character decisions. Mm-hmm. So it's, I don't know. Whenever I find myself doing that, I'm like, oh, I don't normally do this during a movie.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm dogging on this movie to death, but I can't impress enough that whenever a monster is on screen, I have died and gone to heaven.
Yeah, we did the negative stuff first, but literally everything with the monsters is amazing.
It hits the perfect balance of awe-inspiring wonder, and they're scary and they're exciting. And especially on the first viewing, I was fucking worried about Rodan, Mothra, and Godzilla all the time. I was always like, are they okay?
Yeah.
I
was worried about Mothra for sure because she was in the most danger the whole time.
So much. And that's the thing. Like they did such a better job building up and paying off the monster characters and they're fucking characters.
I wanted more monster.
It's like they did that so well, and they did the human stuff so perfunctory. It's just there. I don't find it offensive. And actually, the story that it all services, the story that it comes together to tell, is such a obvious and heartfelt love letter to 60s monster movies. There are aspects of the story that go beyond. I mean, photographers and scientists; those are usually the heroes in all of them. So it's good to see photographers and scientists instead of mercenaries and army boys. And they're still around.
There's a ton of army boys.
They're there, but the heroes are still people of science. And I don't know if it's weird that I noticed this. I like how diverse the cast is. Mm-hmm. You've got a good mix of everybody, and it's cool to see all these different people come together. There's a theme that Ishiro Honda, the director of the original Godzilla, always tried to weave into his stuff. And I think about it a lot when I watch these movies. It is the brotherhood of man. This idea that in a time of true crisis, we can look past our differences and make the world better. And it's like a really hopeful theme that I love to see pop up even in really minor ways like that.
No, it actually was really good in that way. I liked that Ghidra was an alien, essentially. I don't know if that's canon or what.
Absolutely.
Or if they made it up. Okay.
No, and that was one thing that I've always kind of worried that they would drop, because these movies, as crazy as this one is, they go for quote unquote realism, verisimilitude versus, fanciful wackiness. So there was some question like, are they gonna let him still be an alien? And I'm really glad they left that in. Like it's a minor detail in the grand scheme of things. Like it doesn't change the quality of the movie at all, but it's one of a zillion things that says the people who made this are huge fucking fans of this genre. Yeah. It's Swiss cheesed with nods and references to all the old shit, and it's fan service, right? It's not.
Again, if you're listening for the first time, I don't know anything about Godzilla movies, but
I've watched them all too many times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked all that, and I liked that, like, all of the other monsters are basically. I know there are going to be critiques of them being called Titans.
Yeah, right? Which, I mean, that's another one of these micro details that's like, whatever.
But I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Because it makes it more obvious that these are elemental creatures.
Godlike
creatures. And they actually did again, I love all the monster stuff. Like, they handled it super well. But yeah, they're godlike creatures. They all have... essentially have an element, like Godzilla being sort of a water creature, like amphibious sort of deal.
Sea monster.
Rodan being a fire explicitly in this movie. Right. Mothra, I guess, light? Heart?
Heart. Dude, Mothra, I was going to say like, oh, air or something like that. But she's fucking heart.
Yeah.
She's magic in this. Like, it's one of those things that I'm like, Are they going to fully lean into this? Are they going to keep Ghidra an alien? Are they going to keep Mothra of magic? And they did. Now,
she's kind of an Aphrodite, sort of, or maybe I'm mixing them all up.
Well, Aphrodite is the love goddess.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Vaguely. I have thought about this movie for all of 20 minutes.
That's true. Yeah. We're pretty hot off the heels here.
Right. But, what was the other monster in there?
Ghidra.
Oh, well, in Ghidra, yeah, I don't know.
Lightning.
Lightning, electricity. Just sort of a sky creature.
Yeah.
But, and he brings storms.
He's a storm god. I gotta say, they did change Ghidra a little bit, because the storm stuff is new. Huh. We've never explicitly seen regeneration like that before.
Well, the storm thing is a climate change thing.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Oh, yeah.
And I was struggling the whole time with, like, is this going to be weird propaganda-y pro or anti sort of climate change? And I think it definitely landed on anti. Ghidra basically being climate change and us having to...
Oh, sure. Yeah. And the end credits, make sure when you see this... Or, I mean, hopefully you've already seen it, but pay attention to the end credits, because the end credits are like a nice epilogue. It's all these new newspaper clippings, and they all talk about how the Titans are roaming free and doing their thing and bringing different regions back to life. The rainforests are growing in the Sahara, and the world building and the setup for the next movie is kind of bonkers if you really consider everything that happens in this movie. The world has changed. Like, whole cities are wiped off the map. Yeah. New wildernesses are sprouting up everywhere. We know about fucking Atlantis now.
Yeah. I was like, is this an Aquaman crossover?
I mean, it's Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
They could if they wanted to.
Yeah.
And then that would be cool, because Godzilla has been in Marvel Comics back in the 70s, so he would have played for both teams if they work in the DC boys.
Weird. Oh, yeah, like, I mean, first of all, I know that it's not an Aquaman crossover, and this is going on the internet, so...
I guess that we should... that was a joke.
Yeah. So,
well, it just there are so many storytelling beats that are pulled straight from the later 60s movies, the pulp adventure, high fantasy kind of stuff. Atlantis is real. They go to a top secret Arctic outpost where a monster is literally on ice. Like that, some of this shit is straight out of Godzilla Final Wars from 2004. It's awesome. It's amazing. In Final Wars, Godzilla is the one on ice, but it's the exact same idea. Let's go there and break them out.
Right.
And Infant Island is name dropped, which is the fictional location from the original Mothra. Like it's just constant Easter eggs and nuggets and throwbacks. Like,
and the generations of twins and
like,
oh, we're all twins.
I really liked that because so Mothra's fairies, the Shobijin, are not in this movie. I had a feeling they wouldn't be in it, but I did kind of still hold out hope because Mike Doherty, the director of this, he did Krampus and Trick or Treat, which are, I love both of those movies, and they have a nice mix of horror and humor and fantasy. Yeah. So I was like, Mike might try and squeeze the little ladies in. He might go for it, and he didn't. But the trade-off I thought was nice with the generations of twins.
I think that counts, to be honest. I mean, he probably just thought like, well, we can't do fairies,
right?
Just because it wouldn't play as well. Maybe
It is. I think if there was a solo Mothra movie or a Godzilla vs. Mothra movie, maybe you could get away with it.
Yeah.
But
I still think they'd make them like grown women, though.
Yeah. Well, the other nice little kind of wink and nod at that is the Orca machine itself. When it folds out, it looks like the box that they carry the little berries around in. Like the way it folds out, it's got like the microchips or whatever on the side look like the pattern on the box. Or maybe I'm just reading way the fuck too much into a prop.
No, I'm sure that they thought about that, and I'm sure that's why it's there.
It just, between those two things, I'm like, they did it close enough.
Yeah.
I was happy with that. I was happy with, initially I wasn't happy with Rodan being a punk bitch with no loyalty, but it makes him a fun character. Yeah. He's a real bastard.
Well, I think they needed another, just another bad guy to like fuck with Mothra while I mean, I was mad at him. Like he was a little
just
shitheel.
A real fucker.
Yeah.
He has a face heel turn.
It affected me. I'm like, fuck
you, Rodan.
You're supposed to work together.
You're supposed to be friends. I did miss that because like we watched Ghidorah because I was like, Ralph, this will just be the big budget remake of Ghidorah. Yeah. And it fucking wasn't even close.
Not a remake.
I would have loved to have seen Mothra, Godzilla, and Rodan do some crazy tag team move against Ghidorah, but I love that they took the opposite approach. It was, instead of having one big fatal four-way, it was lots of little matchups. We got to see Rodan and Ghidorah go at it. We got to see, and that was, instead of having just one humongous fight at the end, you have a couple little fights strewn throughout, and I think that pacing keeps the movie alive.
Yeah, it kept it going. And then, every time Godzilla comes back, I cry. And then they fight, and it's awesome. But yeah, I liked, it was too heavy on the human story, I felt. Just because, like, you could have touched nothing in the movie, cut certain things that the humans did out, and it would have been, like, a little tighter.
Sure.
But it was, really good overall. And I did like that, like, the humans have to work with, I mean, you have to work with nature.
Yeah.
And allow nature to exist as it is to a degree. And, like, that whole, the whole climate change thing is very obvious and actually pretty well handled in the end.
It's I was nervous because the villains are quote unquote eco-terrorists, so it's like, oh boy, how's this gonna go? And
they're eco-terrorists, but also like the spoiler thing, or not spoiler, end credits thing, they sort of I guess they're eco-terrorists.
Yeah, I mean that's how they address them. Yeah,
but I see them as a stand-in for like oil companies and stuff.
Oh, sure.
Where they at the end, they're the ones who are going to resurrect Ghidorah.
Right.
And the whole time they're the doctor. Is she a doctor?
Vera Farmiga?
She's a professional.
She is. No, she's a doctor, and her name is Vera Farmiga. Just kidding. That is the name of the actor.
Well,
it is Dr. Emma Russell.
Dr. Emma Russell. So
PhD.
Yeah, she goes to them and she's kind of working for them. Like she's like the one like shitty doctor that'll always work with like, companies that want to ruin the world.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. But yeah, they sort of flipped it where it's like Monarch would actually be more of like the corporate-y, gross people, but they actually made them the heroes. So it's not a perfect one-to-one like to real life or anything.
But I think the big example is Ghidra's storm abilities. This very, it makes him scarier. It makes him more intimidating and powerful. But also, that's what directly ties him to that theme of climate change.
It's kind of like all of these movies where they sort of make them by committee. Like a lot of times, I think it just gets muddled. Like, what is the meaning of this? Like, it all gets muddled.
When you make a $200 million movie, you have a lot of people with a lot of ideas, and it becomes a weird stew.
Yeah. And also, his storm abilities made it so that you had a couple people like trying to fix a piece of electronic equipment and solder in a pouring rainstorm, and it worked.
There's some little moments.
Yeah. It's
like
a Godzilla movie, but like still, you like just look for a covering,
something. Yeah, that's a 2 second, some kind of awning or something.
Roof. Yeah.
Yeah, a roof zone.
Yeah.
I usually don't notice stuff like that, but but then I start noticing it. Like the one for me was towards the end.
It was like the one time I turned to you during the movie and said anything, or one of the few. It was like, have you ever soldered in the rain?
I don't like or agree with the phrase or the idea of like, well, enjoy it, just turn your brain off. It's like, no, we shouldn't have to turn our fucking brains off.
Yeah.
Like I don't care that it's not Shakespeare. It should still hold water. I feel the same way about kids movies. Like people say, well, it's a kids movie. Who cares if it's bad or good? And it's like, well, you should. Yeah. What are you showing your kid?
Yeah, you really should. You should. Oh, well, I'm going to teach my kid stupid stuff. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, oh, well, it's a kids movie. They're stupid. They don't know.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, and wanting things to make sense and fit together in a basic way, I don't think that's asking for too much, even out of your even out of your entertainment, where it's clear, like, oh, this is not a brainy thing. This is just fun escapism. It doesn't have to be
simple fixes too,
right?
Where you're like, all you got to do is just like
show them running under something.
Right. They already stopped the Humvee earlier. Like, like they've already done things that set them back when a monster is chasing them. Like they can go and like find shelter somewhere in the broken apart Fenway.
Yeah.
But it's a minor thing, really.
It is these little things. The one that stuck out to me, I don't know if you picked up on this, but the kind of the key to tracking the orca and figuring out what was the combination of sounds that they used when creating the orca. That was like a kind of a piece of the puzzle they had to solve, and they reveal that it's a mix of Godzilla and humans.
Yeah.
Humans don't have sonar. What the fuck did they mix together?
I don't know what they mixed together. Like
just somebody like talking and coughing and shit. Like, because I understand the like I understood that the monsters, the Titans, all have this sonar. It's how they communicate with each other, and that was cool because that was bringing back an idea from Godzilla 2014 that whole natural sonar thing is a big part of that movie too. But humans don't have a sonar.
They were trying to say, I think, that all of us together on Earth emit something.
Okay. Oh, I like that. That's a little more metaphysical.
Yeah, I think
that's cool.
Yeah, like we all together. And again, it goes into like togetherness.
Brotherhood of Man, that whole theme.
Brotherhood of Man, yeah. Where like,
well, that's fucking cool. Now I like it.
Well, if that's what it was, that was my impression though. Yeah. But still, I don't know, like, how do you record that, lady? Like, Yeah, if you recorded that, that's actually the most impressive thing that happened the whole movie.
Please tell me you are in published scientific journals with your world population recording.
S-
It's one of those things with the human sonar thing, like that's bonkers and nothing, but the point they wanted to get around to is like, oh, humans are a monster.
Yes.
And that's a fun, obvious theme. And so like it's kind of the human story in a nutshell. The human story will do something that I'm like, yeah, I'm into that. That's really good. And then it'll have the goddamn fortune cookie joke, which made me shit out my skeleton in
Jesus.
terror.
The fortune cookie joke.
It's rough. It's really rough. And it's you could make, if this came out in 1986, that joke would have, sure.
This is what I'm talking about with like how the Golden Child wouldn't have aged well. And they put it in they put in basically a Golden Child level joke.
Yeah, it was not great.
I don't know.
I love a bad joke. I love a corny joke. I love a dad joke. I love bad one-liners. There were a bunch of bad one-liners in this I enjoyed, but that one I was like, oh boy.
It's also like it's a matter of like, well, time has passed and we've learned certain things along the way. We like to think that we've learned them. Yeah. So like now you really can't put that joke in and expect me like not to grimace.
Yeah, it was just a groaner.
Yeah.
But then later in the movie, you have him get on a submarine and say goodbye to everyone, and they're broken up about it, and he finally meets Godzilla face to fucking face, and he pulls out his grandfather's stopwatch that stopped at the second that the Hiroshima bomb went off. Yeah. And it's like, wow, I'm so like, those, if you pulled out those moments and just erased out the groaner moments, it's like a perfect movie. It's this big, ballsy, ambitious fantasy, and I can't believe it's a real movie. Like, go see this fucking movie.
Yeah, it's great.
We're dunking on the human moments, but like,
you have to.
They're dumb. You'll see. Like, but the everything else, when it drops the bullshit and is a wonderful fantasy, that goofy phrase that I coined last time, it works. It's a banger.
When he bites off Ghidra's head.
Fuck yeah.
And Ghidra like starts growing a new head and like pulls off the what do you would call that?
I mean, I couldn't think of it's like a placenta is what I keep thinking of, but it's something
it's not
else.
A placenta, but he just pulls off the and just like allows the next head to grow.
And just muscle shoots out of a neck stump and wraps around it. Yeah. And oh my god,
that looked great.
The whole fighter jet assault on Rodan is so fucking gangster.
Do a barrel roll.
He just does a barrel roll and ices everybody.
Yes.
And Mike Dougherty revealed that he's a little biased towards Rodan, and a big part of this movie was making sure that Rodan was done right, and I think he fucking creamed it.
Well, yeah, I do think in Ghidra the Three-Headed Monster, like Rodan was a little he was sort of like the least cool in that one, and I liked that he was like really amped up and like awesome in this.
They took him to a crazy. They took just like Ghidra. They took Rodan to like a crazy new place that I'm like, fuck it, yeah, man, let's go for it.
Yeah, that was really cool.
The action set pieces are great, and Godzilla's arc is great. You see he comes out swinging. It's very Gamera. I'm excited to watch a Gamera movie with you, because every fucking Gamera movie, Gamera comes out, I'm going to take you on, villain monster. He gets his ass whipped.
Yeah.
Has to go chill out at the bottom of the ocean, rest up, comes back swinging. And it's this great, every single Gamera movie has that very effective arc, and it makes you care so much about Gamera, and it's great to see Godzilla do it, because it fucking works. Every time his big mug was on screen, I'm like, there he is. There's that good boy.
Yep. I saw one Gamera movie and I liked it. We watched it together and I can't remember what it is. We'll figure it out.
Oh yeah, we'll dig into that. We could record a whole episode just rattling off the references and Easter eggs and stuff. The Oxygen Destroyer is back.
The Oxygen Destroyer.
Ralph's favorite creation in the franchise. The Infant Island gets name dropped. Mm-hmm. The Arctic Research Station, in addition to being pulled straight from Godzilla Final Wars, it's Station 32, Outpost 32, which is a reference to The Thing. Because that's one of the director's favorite monster movies, is The Thing.
It better be.
Hell yeah. Because that takes place in Outpost 31. So he thought, well, this is Outpost 32. This one's pretty bad too.
Yeah.
Like, there's just wall to wall, just bam, 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 bam. Monster Zero is the title of a Godzilla movie featuring Ghidorah. That's the second one.
Because I was wondering about that the whole time. I'm like, why Monster Zero?
Because it's fucking rad.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is cool. I just wanted to know the logic behind it.
Right. And there's sort of an internal logic that isn't just, hey, remember this for the fans. They do talk about how he's like this unknown quantity, and it's a code name, I guess.
And then I do like that they figure out his name later.
They handle. I was really happy with how they handled that.
Yeah.
The MonsterVerse in general has been good about that. Like, verisimilitude actually works there, because in the old movies, somebody will just run in the room and start saying like, Rodan's attacking. And everybody knows that the thing that came out of a mountain, I guess is named Rodan. Nobody knows why his name is that, but it is like, you know what I mean? In the movie. And that's because it's a Japanese fantasy movie. Who cares why his name is Rodan? His name's fucking Rodan. Let's keep moving. And that's a very Western movie thing to be like, here's why his name is Rodan.
Yeah, I mean,
but it works. It doesn't stop the movie, and it doesn't feel like they're afraid of the subject matter. No, it has, in that respect, it has its cake and eats it too.
They give you sort of an answer, and they leave it vague enough.
They split the difference. It's not just the monster shows up and everyone magically knows his name, and it's not stopping the movie dead and being like, Rodan's an acronym for radioactive, unknown, like they found the sweet spot right in the middle where it's like, here's why we know his name, because it's our job. Monarch is a genius invention, because the original movies don't have like, well, no, that's not true. The other movies have G-Force and all these other, never mind. There's totally a Monarch in the other ones. I just forgot about that. But it's such a good tool to have in these movies. It's this nice connective tissue to make sense of a world of monsters.
Yeah, they did a good job with all that. Wow. Yeah, I could just keep saying they did a good job with that about monster stuff.
And that would be the greatest podcast of all time.
They did a good job.
They did a really good job. Do you want to know some fun facts about those monsters they did a good job with?
Yeah.
So Ghidorah was not played by a motion capture actor. He was played by more than 3. Oh. Because they had one for each head.
And they have different personalities, sort of. Because you see them fight at some point, too.
Yes. They fight amongst themselves, and the middle head is sort of the main one, kind of like a leader head.
Yeah.
They made changes to Ghidorah. Like, straight up, it's not a one-to-one translation of what we've seen before. But it all fits and feels like a natural upgrade to the character. I never was like, Ghidorah would never do that. It all felt super in character and in line with that character's history, and it's extremely exciting. It's so cool to see all these new ideas. Like, we talked about the storm stuff. We talked about how each head has a personality. He's got rattlesnake tails now. Oh. He walks on his wings and stuff, and it all looks fucking awesome, and it feels right.
Oh, yeah, they did a really good job making everything look amazing. Like, they're finally starting to figure out like how to make CGI look great. And it's like tricks, I guess, like minor tricks of just keeping always something in the foreground and things like that. Like it's always storming, around. Like that serves a dual purpose of like giving him more real world meaning, and also like just giving them cover for like
it helps hide their wonkiness.
Yeah, and like dust is always kicking up when Godzilla walks through somewhere, and just like having that option really helps when you're doing CGI.
It serves like exactly what you said. It serves several different purposes at once.
Yeah.
It ups the visual drama. It creates the sense of scale, and then it just hides the fact that CGI doesn't always look great.
Right.
It's genius.
But yeah, it's amazing. Godzilla's design is like,
I love how he looks.
He's like very like sturdy.
He's a chonk.
And when he like,
love
when
Chubzilla.
He's like, what's his name? From Billy Madison. He did amazing in this. The like jerk sort of Hollow Earth guy.
Bradley Whitford.
He's wonderful in everything.
He's one of my favorite character actors of all time. He's great in Cabin in the Woods.
Uh-huh.
And
he can Get Out.
Yeah. Oh God, he's so good in Get Out.
Yeah.
They give him some really. I love the guy, and I'm so glad he's in the movie, and he does so well with what he's given, which is either his lines fall into 3 categories: a clunky one-liner, a not good one-liner, expository, not even expository, just like someone will say, "Hey, give me a map of X," and he'll say, "Coming right up." Yep. He had a couple of those. Yeah. and then the good stuff was when he would be a Hollow Earth crackpot. That's kind of when it came together. But I will say also those very bad one-liners. I think just because I like him, he totally sold a couple of them.
No, he killed it because he's actually good. He can work with that kind of material.
Yeah.
And one little thing that I liked was his mug that had a little note written on it that says "Not yours." You know, like usually it's someone's name.
Yeah, if you've worked in an office or even if you haven't,
right.
You've worked with a guy like Dr. Rick Stanton. He's definitely one of the standout characters alongside like Dr. Serizawa or Madison.
Yeah.
Where he takes a little and makes it work.
Oh yeah, he made it work really well. I don't remember how we got to him, but
he's just who cares? He's a delight. And more people should be paying attention.
More people
character
should be
actors,
paying
man.
Him.
Yes. Yeah. Put this guy in stuff because he's gold.
Everything. He's great.
He is fantastic. I put him in the same category as Richard Jenkins, who is his co-star in Cabin in the Woods, and he's the dad in Step Brothers.
Remind me still though who that is.
Bald.
I'll look him up.
It doesn't matter. He's great.
Okay, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna ignore that.
Yeah, we can just move on.
Yeah, whatever you just said, I don't care.
It's just pure trash.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, people listening at home, go ahead and delete this from your mind. I think most podcast apps have that where you can push the button and it sends a signal into your ear holes.
You can skip ahead 15 seconds or something. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Just
or you go back 15, then forward 30.
Master time travel and just no, fuck that. Richard Jenkins rules.
Yeah, he's awesome. I don't know who he is. So, that's what I was gonna say. He's like, he looks very sturdy, and he's
yes.
When that guy, again, his name.
Bradley Whitford.
Bradley Whitford. When Bradley Whitford says, like he looks like he's been working out or something like that, which again is a terrible line,
real stinker,
but he delivers it very well. But when he says that, I'm looking at Godzilla and it's like he's got like a little like beer gut type deal. Like he looks sturdy. He looks like in the strongest man competitions.
Yes.
Where like the guy
pulling a semi truck with his teeth.
And they don't look good.
They're not bodybuilders.
No, they're
not building pretty muscle. Yeah, they're building work muscle.
Yeah, they're purely like what is the word?
Fucking torque.
Yeah. No. Utilitarian. They have utilitarian strength.
Yes. It's an efficient body.
Right. Like it's not like bodybuilding or anything. Like, like movies tend to do that where they're like, oh, this guy's super strong, which means that
that looks good.
Yeah. Like he's got big round shoulders or something. It's like, no, Godzilla is just fucking. It's like in Shin Godzilla when we watch that, where it's just like he just walks, and you get that vibe from Godzilla in this movie too, where it's just like, no, he's straight ahead at all times.
Yes.
He knows what he's doing. All of his entire body was formed for this purpose, to just knock shit down.
Hell yeah.
And like I really liked that when he was like, oh yeah, well you've been working out, and it's like, but he still looks like a big dude who's just like.
He's thick.
He just rolled out of the bar and he's a little sauced up, but he's strong as shit.
And he knows he can take everybody on the block. Yeah. It's a really perfect extension and kind of amping up of his design in Godzilla 2014, which also in that movie specifically, retired boxer. His build. Retired 1940s boxer.
That's great.
His build, his attitude, his body language all just screams that through all of 2014.
Yeah.
And it's back in this one, but they amped up his spines and they made his head and his claws and his feet a little bigger, so he's just more might.
Yeah.
Like it's just what you describing him just now got me viscerally excited. I was just imagining how big and cool and just fuck you to everything he is, and he just tromps forward, and it's so primally satisfying to watch.
Yeah.
I don't know if there are multi-syllable words that can describe the caveman feelings it stirs in me when I see him just walk through a city block, because he's got to punch a motherfucker in the face.
Yeah.
It's action movie gold.
It's him versus Ghidorah, which is just this big, really sort of inefficient monster. Where like it's sort of like bureaucracy, like in a monster, where like all these heads have to communicate.
Yeah.
And
that's really good, Ralph.
Oh well, thank you.
That's I'm gonna think about. I'm gonna chew on that for a while.
I have a thought from time to time, but they have to communicate with each other and decide what to do and how to do it, and they generally operate all together. But then you see them biting at each other.
Yeah.
Whereas Godzilla is just like, no, he's one guy. He goes straight ahead.
He does not turn. Yeah. He does not pivot. He moves with purpose.
And if you want to follow him, then he's cool with it. But if you don't want to follow him, he will fuck you up.
He will move through you.
Yeah. He doesn't, like Rodan or someone, like when he would just fuck him up. Like, get out of my way. I need to
just smack him aside.
Fix this problem.
Yep.
Yeah. And then he goes to sleep.
He's got to sleep it off. Yeah. It's, which again, the retired 1940s boxer thing, like I always just, I love that feeling, and I see that whenever I look at him.
Oh, I just love efficient, like, creatures.
It's why I like Jason.
Right.
Jason Voorhees is, because you have Freddy, who is very clever, and he makes schemes and traps, and there's always this black comic dramatic irony to Freddy. And then Jason will explode through a wall and rip your head off with his hands, and then throw it out the window and keep moving in a straight line.
I love, like, Freddy's great in his own way, but like he is a sneaky character. Like he is in his human life, he was like stealing children and stuff like that. So it makes sense that he'd like come to you in your dreams, or just find a way around actually confronting you and hurting you. But yeah, Jason just being like just pure anger.
Yes,
but also like art.
There's a sadness to Jason, and he is clever in his own way.
He's an artist when like he puts these bodies up in, really interesting positions.
Yes. He's an improviser too.
Yeah.
He always works with whatever he's got.
Yeah. I think he's the artist's slasher.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that.
Yeah. Michael Myers has that streak too, where he likes to set up installations to upset his victims.
See, yeah, that's true. I do see Michael Myers as more of like, sort of like Godzilla, where it's like you work, you have a job,
right? Efficiency.
Yeah, Jason I see is sort of is like
making a statement.
Where I'm just going to abandon this thought. We can talk about Jason some other time.
We sure can.
We are gonna.
I
love those movies.
We could. If you ever wanted to do a Friday the 13th series podcast.
Yeah, and if anyone listening is interested, hit us with that.
Yeah. If
you would like to hear that sooner rather than later.
I'll just go and throw out Nightmare on Elm Street. I would do a podcast series about that as well.
The whole series. Like,
yeah.
I'm talking, like, if we do Jason, we're doing all of those movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't not talk about Jason X, Ralph. I must speak to the people about Jason X.
I love Jason X.
It's pure magic.
I love Jason X.
It's such a joy to behold. And it's one of those things when it came out, when the trailer came out, and I was a snotty teenager. I'm like, that looks stupid. Look how stupid that is. Let's make fun of it. And then years later I saw it. I'm like, oh yeah.
When Jason X came out, I wasn't even into horror movies probably.
Same.
Horror movies.
Yeah.
I wasn't into horror movies.
So you too.
Horror movies, yes.
Horror movies. Sorry, I was so excited.
Okay, hold on.
Or
we need to stop and do the thank yous, and then we need to come right back to this for bonus content. What do you think?
Oh yeah, shit. We really did go off the rails there, didn't we? I have a
pick
couple
up
prompts too. For bonus content.
Okay, so excuse the sloppiness, everyone. Okay.
It's natural, Ralph. It's podcast verite.
Yeah, I actually do. I like listening.
I love stream of consciousness.
They get a little off subject.
Yeah,
but just swinging it back to Godzilla real quick.
Yes.
What did you think of the movie?
I loved it. It's one of those things where I can see the cracks in the foundation.
Yeah.
And I just don't care. Honestly,
yeah.
Like there are things that a lot of one-liners just don't land.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, as a comedy fan, that's a big deal for me. But the monster stories are so lovingly constructed. The whole thing is such a labor of love. If you've seen more than one or two Godzilla movies, you will pick something out and be like, "Oh my god, that's a wink at this," or they're going for one of those cinematic universes. Maybe they're teasing a sequel.
I would love a sequel.
Godzilla vs. Kong is coming in 2020.
But I'd love a real sequel to this. Like King of the Monsters 2.
He got to be a king. That's always been a marketing title. It's great. The fact that Godzilla's King of the Monsters is one of the things that made me go, oh shit, I better check this dude out. But we've never seen him actually rule over monsters, and he fucking does that in this movie.
He stands up at the end and shoots fire in the air.
And they several monsters pledge allegiance to him, and it's so fucking cool.
Bow to him.
They bow to him. Rodan literally bows, and it's so... One of the things that draws me to this genre is that I just like non-human characters.
Yeah.
If you can tell a story with a robot or a monster or an alien, I'm just in the door. I don't know why I'm like that, but that's what it is.
I'm not like that personally, but when it comes to these monsters, I'm very invested in them.
Yeah.
In them.
They have personalities and they have goals. They're not obstacles. I love that, and that's one of the things that keeps me coming back to Godzilla and Kaiju.
They're way more relatable than the people because in a way they just have simple aims. And
you can project onto them.
Yeah, and they don't have any of the problems that we do where like constantly they're talking about, like, humans are talking about, like, how do we handle this or that, and the monsters just like know how to keep everything in balance, like, naturally.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's totally true.
I interrupted you though.
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't give a fart.
All right.
Monster characters.
I don't care either then.
They have personalities, they have goals, they accomplish them. It's so exciting to see that. To me, that is what this movie gets right.
Yeah,
and that's an incredibly exciting thing to see.
Just as it happens to be the most important part.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if on the second or third viewing, if like I'll be more or less bothered by the main character.
Right.
Maybe I was just picking on him this time or what, but I don't know. Time will tell. I love the really important part of the movie, the monsters, all that stuff. I just loved it. And I do want a sequel. Maybe that guy can like die in between them. What do you think?
That would be fun. I do. They've already shot Godzilla vs. Kong, and I think he is
whatever
in the cast.
I really don't care. I was still gonna see it.
Yeah.
If not even just for this podcast, just because I'm like, where you started this, and now I'm starting to really get into like these movies. Yeah. And we do have an episode on Shin coming up.
Yes.
Probably maybe next. I don't know. But
that's next in the bucket.
Well, we watched that one, and there was one where like, okay, I'm really getting into these movies now.
Yeah.
So I have a lot to say about that. We're gonna have a guest. He's gonna have a whole shitload to say about that, I think.
Yes, he's, as an Evangelion fan, he has a lot to say.
Yeah, he can go off. So it's good. That's gonna be really fun.
Yeah, I'm super psyched about that. It's exciting. I'm just planning the next episodes. There's just always something in the bucket. I think Pacific Rim should maybe be our next one after Shin.
Yep.
I just love talking about this stuff. And I'm again want to thank Riccio and Shelly for supporting us on Patreon, and thank everybody at home for listening.
Oh yeah. Also the Facebook. Check out the Facebook. The Twitter is @MonstersConquer. Go ahead, do the rest.
Oh yeah, I was just going to dip into that and say that you can join us on Discord and talk with us there. There's a link on monstersconquertheworld.com, and
yeah, we're pretty active on Discord now. It's getting to but yeah, Facebook, Twitter, we're on Instagram, and thank you all.
You're the best.
So Patreon stuff starts now.
Yes.
Let's do some motherfucking prompts.
Yeah.
I know you've got some. I've got one.
I do.
I don't remember what I was saying about Jason, but I was not done.
Oh, we were talking. Well, I think we got stuck on horror movies.
Yeah, we did.
There was this really fun cadence to horror movies, and I know where I was leaving off was just that I would absolutely do a